This week on Bravo's Love Hotel.
She's Gizelle.
Oh. Whoa. Wow.
I'm intrigued by Gizelle. I like the way she carries herself, and those eyes are just wow.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Bravo's Love Hotel, Season 1, Episode 2. Let's get right into this. Alright, so everybody's waking up to a new day. Ashley's working out with Wale. Luanne did yoga with a man named Max, but there's already some drama early in the morning. So remember the man who Luanne went on a date with last episode, Gerry? Well, Gerry got very mad at Mark for offering to do yoga with Luanne. So clearly Gerry is very into Luanne. So they're at the breakfast table and Mark is telling the whole table. Gerry then walks in and he says, "Are y'all talking about me?" Everyone is low-key enjoying the drama, and I'm sure Luanne is elated that two men are competing over her. The host of the show, quote-unquote love concierge, he comes in, gathers everybody together, and he announces that today there will be a group date. The women will each invite two men for that little date that they're going to have. Now, what if a man is chosen by more than one woman? Well, it will then be the man's choice to pick which woman that asked him does he want to go with. Dating two people at a time is nothing new for Ashley, okay? It's like riding a bike. So Shannon wants to go first. She first asks out Ralph, the big, bulky, older guy. And she also asks out Jay, the man who Gizelle went on a date with last week. So then Ashley's turn comes and she asks out Nick, and they've had a lot of chemistry, that's undeniable, so I wasn't surprised about that. Then she also asks out Gerry as well. Luanne asks out Mark, who did yoga with her in the morning, and Ralph as well. Now, Shannon already asked him out, keep in mind. Then by the time Gizelle goes, she wants to take out Phil, and her second date is Ralph as well. So Ralph is like the bachelor. He has 3 women who want him. Gizelle was messy, and she made some joke in her confessional about Shannon's boyfriends always leaving her for other women. That's kind of rude, and Gizelle, you really don't have much room to talk for yourself. But again, tough decision for Ralph, but actually it wasn't really a tough decision. He chose Gizelle, which wasn't surprising. He seemed to be pretty into her on last week's episode. So now Shannon gets another pick, and she picks Earl, the guy who she went on a date with last week, who I loved, seems like a great guy, but I hope he doesn't feel like a rebound second option, because that's kind of what Shannon definitely made it seem like. For Luanne's second date, she picks Wale. So it's time for the date, and it's so on brand with Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo, by the way. This was a total full-blown Mexican fiesta with beautiful decorations, the food, the cocktails, everything. I loved it. Luanne is already trying to kiss Wale. Ew. So each woman has to be with their 2 men. They're kind of just all, scattered around. So Gizelle talks to her men. One of them asks, what does she want for in a man? And she said that obviously physical attraction is very important, but a man that can make her laugh is also very important to her. These 2 men are kind of very serious, not in a bad way, but in like an older, laid back, no drama type of way, which I'm not mad at. Gizelle asks them if they've ever dated a black woman, and Ralph says, yeah. Phil says, well, I am black. Gizelle says, yeah, but that doesn't mean you've dated black women. So Phil's actually a very interesting person. He's from LA. He has 2 homes. I think he does music. So Gizelle was definitely very interested in getting to know that side of him. Luanne is talking about her yoga session with Mark. Wale is complimenting her on her, working out physique. Again, I don't know what does Luanne want, because she's just such a flirt, but Mark probably doesn't want something serious anyway, so it's not really like she's like really building a connection here. And Wale, he keeps talking about Ashley, so Luanne says, why don't you go write her a no? Shannon is with her two men, and Jay asks Earl if he's been married before. This time, Earl shares about his first marriage. We found out last week about his second marriage, the wife who passed away, but he talks about his first marriage, who he didn't have any kids with that wife, but she already had a son when she came into the marriage, and Earl took this boy in and loved him as if he were his own. But when they got divorced, the mom never let him see the boy again. And Earl had made a promise to him that he had told him that he would give the boy this motorcycle, and he says that to this day he still has that motorcycle. They're waiting to give it to him. I just thought, oh, like, I love Earl, very nice guy. So let's head over to Ashley. So she asks them if they've ever dated a black woman as well. Both of the men say to each other, go ahead. And Gerry says, yeah, in high school. Nick didn't want to answer, but like, it's just yes or no question. He says to Ashley, well, have you ever dated a white guy? And she's like, oh, let me tell you, because she definitely has. So they're having their conversation, and then Wale comes over here and hands Ashley the note, and of course she's, blushing and everything. The note said, you look great, would love to see you later. So then everyone has time to kind of just move around and kind of just all chat with each other. And I thought it was very nice that Jay checked up on Gizelle. So then Ashley decides to go somewhere a little bit more private with Nick and get to know him a little bit more. So he's from Arizona. He was a diamond lender or something, but now he's into crypto. To me, that's a red flag, only because I don't know how to use crypto. So, yeah. But he begins to talk about Bitcoin and digital currency to Ashley, which to her is a translation to he's got money, which is something she definitely wants. She then asks, what do you like, or what do you want in a woman? He says, a beautiful smile and a fat ass. Ugh, who says that? If I were Ashley, that would have given me the ick, personally. I do think he's into Ashley, but he's a little stiff, and I don't know, that comment made me look at him a little weird. Shannon and Earl were having a great time, and they even kissed, were dancing a little, and she even took him to see her room, so that's a pretty big step. Nick did the same to Ashley, but it was crazy because in his mind, this was probably going to be like a romantic gesture, bringing her up to the room, maybe even kiss. But the women who were already in their rooms, they kept popping up in the hallway. First it was Gizelle, then Shannon, then Luanne. So he felt, quote unquote, cock blocked. So he really didn't do anything. So that was it for the night. Then it is the next day. The ladies all wore matching outfits. That was cute. They hang out by the pool just as girls. And Gizelle makes a comment about finance. That they all have they've all made money themselves independently. So is money a big factor when it comes to meeting some of these men? And they all kind of agree, yes, they have a certain lifestyle for sure that they've developed over the years that they want to maintain. Shannon doesn't feel like this with Earl. Like, for her, finance isn't her top requirement. So I kind of get that. I didn't like Luanne being like, she said to Shannon, well, like, what if you end up living in a farm? Really, listen, at the end of the day, these ladies need to realize that a vast majority of men that are gonna make what they want are probably already married. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they need to settle and marry in the words of Mama Joy, he's a hundred heir or 1,000 heir. Like, no, if he has money, that's great. But like, don't limit yourself to be like, oh, he has to be like a male, the ultra multi-millionaire, because like that's a little, unrealistic. So after that, they all reconvene again, including the men, and the announcement is that there are going to be new men coming into the hotel. Some of the women are excited to see some new men, but here's the problem. In order for these new men to arrive, they're going to have to send some of the current men out. So each woman has to pick a man who she wants to stay. So the 4 women each get a key, and they will hand that key over to the man who they want to stay in the hotel. Luanne begins by saying that Gerry is wonderful, but they're very different. She does like Mark. She likes that they did yoga. But you guys, this was like a total plot twist. Instead of giving it to one of the guys who are fighting over her, she gives the key to Ralph, as if he needed to be saved by her. Shannon gives her key to Earl. Ashley has a tough position. She's into Wale, but she's also into Nick. But Ashley said that last night, her and Nick talked about maybe spending some time at the pool in the morning. And this morning, Nick never came. He never showed up. So she's going to have to give her key to Wale. Finally, Gizelle. Gizelle says this is very difficult. She says that she was going to pick Ralph, but so he was already saved. So she would like for Jay to stay. Now, she didn't have to say, well, I wanted Ralph to stay, so I guess I'll give it to Jay. The host then tells them that they're going to get one extra final key to save just one more person. So, as women, they need to decide who they all want to give another chance to. And the men are allowed to, plead their case, give some final words to be considered. So Gerry says, I want to say, if I had brought my guitar, I would have probably written a song with Luanne. Luanne? Who is Luanne? Everybody thought. Mark said that he barely spent time with anyone, and then Nick says to Ashley, if it's not me, all I know is that it was a blessing to meet you. Phil says that they're all very inspiring. There just hasn't been an opportunity to share more moments together. So the women leave for a brief second to kind of, discuss and deliberate, and they decide to give the key to Phil. So Gerry and Mark are going to have to go. Now, it's crazy that the three men that Gizelle wanted to stayed. Jay, Ralph, and Gerry. So she was the real winner in this little plot twist. And then we see the new men begin to arrive. Now, we didn't get to see them, but we saw them approach, and that was the end of the episode. So next week will be interesting. I like the fact that new men are coming, because I was wondering how is it going to work, because surely, yeah, you'll definitely have a connection with a guy, but there's gonna be guys that you're definitely not gonna you're not really going to see anything with them. So I was interested in to see how they were going to keep that moving. And I guess this is the way it will be from now on. If no one really has a connection with any of particular guys, they will be sent home. And in exchange, new ones will join. So yeah, you guys, this was episode 2 of Bravo's Love Hotel. I'm still enjoying it. It's a dumb, sweet show. But y'all, let me know what your opinions were about this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.